What's up, college football fans? In this video, I'm going to give you my top 10 teams right now in college football after week 5. This is purely just from watching them and what we've seen so far this year. This is not last year. These are the 10 best teams, in my opinion, right now. And the best team in college football right now, if you were to put this team on the field with any other team, this team, number one team, I think is the best. And I think it's Alabama right now. Even though their defense is not obviously all the top 10 teams, you put them on any field, they're a top 10 team for a reason, and they can beat any other top 10 team. There's a lot of good teams this year, but my number one team right now is Alabama because of the offense that they run. They just look unstoppable right now. There's guys running wide open. They have about 4 NFL receivers, a NFL quarterback that might go first overall with Tua. So for that reason, I'm going to have to go Alabama at number one. My number 2 team, I have Georgia. Now, Georgia this year, I know the competition hasn't been great, but they have played Notre Dame. They have played Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's not that good. But anyways, they've given up 3 touchdowns on defense all year. Only 3, and they've played 4 games. One of them, a muff punt at the 8-yard line that they made Notre Dame go to 4th and goal to get a touchdown. So I'm not really going to count that. Let's say they've given up 2 defensive touchdowns all year on defense, and one of them was a 60-yard blown coverage to Murray State. So really, they've given up 1 long touchdown drive over like 50 yards. 1, and that was the second to last possession Notre Dame had. So they've given up 1 long touchdown drive all year. And this defense, in my opinion, is the best in college football. Just sound. They look like they did. They look better than the defense in 2017 because they were better at getting pressure. I know Georgia didn't pressure the quarterback well against Notre Dame, but yeah. So the one thing with Georgia, everyone keeps saying they have the best offensive line, which they do, but even if they're the best offensive line, they need to get pressure off of them. Notre Dame loaded the box really well. All they need to do is throw jump balls like Clemson did all last year. They just need to throw jump balls to Pickens and Cager on the outside, loosen them up, go straight vertical, and then cut it off and back shoulder, stuff like that to get teams off of their run. And they should be able to do that. Fromm just needs the opportunity. Fromm's a great quarterback, great receivers, best running back group in the country, best offensive line. I think they have the best defense. That's why I got Georgia as my number 2 team. They're just super solid like they were 2 years ago, and I think they're a little better. My number 3 team, Clemson. Everyone's probably already seeing that I didn't put Clemson 1 or 2, but Clemson's not a top 2 team right now after week 5. They just beat North Carolina by a point on the road. Georgia or Alabama would kill North Carolina, or at least they wouldn't win by 1 point. Like that's terrible. Like they shouldn't even be top 3 or 4. If you put LSU, Auburn, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Georgia, Alabama, any of those teams, they're not going to beat North Carolina by 1 point. I don't know what's going on with Clemson this year. They got to figure it out. They only scored 21 on Texas A&M, 21 against North Carolina. But I still think they're one of the best teams because of the depth that they have and the threat that we know. Lawrence is an NFL quarterback. They got NFL receivers. I think they'll find it. And I think they have a really good defense, like up there with Georgia. So for that reason, I'm going to have Clemson at 3 because of the threat. Yeah. And my number 4 team is Ohio State. And honestly, Ohio State's looked like the best team in college football to me. But this is against Florida Atlantic that they beat 45-21. Florida Atlantic. Cincinnati, Indiana, Miami of Ohio, and Nebraska. All those teams are terrible. Terrible. So, they're just terrible. So I'm not going to let Ohio State get in the top 3, even if they've looked like it, because they haven't played anyone. And I know Michigan State has a good defense, and they'll play them next week. So then we'll see about Ohio State. Ohio State still has to play Wisconsin and Michigan too. So they can easily prove me wrong. And if they play those teams like they have been playing these other teams, then they should get consideration and should be the number 1 team in America because that's what they look like. But right now, Ohio State's number 4 because they haven't played anyone. Sorry. My number 5 team is LSU. I think this year they have the best offense in college football. I don't know what's gotten into Joe Burrow. I don't know how this has happened, but to me, they look like the best offense of college football. I don't know if this bye week they were off this past Saturday. I don't know if that's going to cool them down or what. Uh, but they have the best offense in college football right now. And you can't really deny it. However, the defense is subpar, to say the least. They gave up 38 points to Texas, and Texas is a great team, but Notre Dame, Georgia, Clemson, Auburn, none of those teams are going to give up 38 to Texas. Texas would be lucky to get 28 against any of those teams. So LSU's defense isn't good this year, so it's kind of swapped. So the defense is pretty doo-doo this year for LSU. They gave up 38 against Vanderbilt, but 17 of those weren't. Well, 24 of them were. They got a field goal. But LSU gave up 3 defensive touchdowns against Vanderbilt. And we have stuff to compare it on already. Georgia played Vanderbilt their first game of the year. They only gave up 2 field goals. That's it. And you might say LSU put up 66 points. Well, that's a lot more than Georgia put up, which makes my point that LSU is better offensively. But on the defensive side of the ball, like possession-wise, you might say that Vanderbilt had way more possessions. But Vanderbilt had 14 possessions against LSU and 11 against Georgia. So it's only 3 more drives. And LSU gave up 3 touchdowns. And one of them was the first drive of the game. And Vanderbilt couldn't do anything against Georgia. Like, nothing. And even 21 points given up against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's terrible offensively. And that's pretty much showcasing how bad LSU's defense is. If LSU's defense was even a little above average, they'd be a top 3 team easily. But their defense is really bad. Like 3 touchdowns given up against Vanderbilt. Even if you say it's against the backups, I mean, you're just complimenting Georgia's team because Georgia plays backups every game and they're not giving up any points. So why should LSU's backups give up points? Same with Clemson. Clemson plays backups. They don't give up that many points. I don't know. So LSU 5. And number 6, you might say Oklahoma, but I got Auburn because Auburn has a top 4 defense in college football up there with Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State. Yep, that was it. They have the best defensive line in college football. It's not even close. They're easily the best run-stopping team. Literally, no one is going to be able to run the ball against Auburn all year. So any running team such as Georgia, good luck. They beat Oregon, and they've beaten Texas A&M, and now Mississippi State, which I just went to that game this past Saturday, and they killed Mississippi State. But obviously Mississippi State isn't that good, and they beat A&M by 8, but that was at Kyle Fields. That's why that one was good. They're getting better and better, but the thing holding Auburn back is they're probably not going to be able to run the ball against better defenses, and they've got a true freshman quarterback, and they're really offense is predicated on these jet sweeps and running plays and then passing. So when that run gets taken away, Auburn is going to need to air it out and let Bo Nix get better. And when I was at the last Auburn game, there were 2 minutes left in the game, and Gus, they were on the 10-yard line, and he decides to run the ball the first play. I'm like, dude, against Georgia or Alabama, you're going to need to practice these 2-minute plays, so 2-minute drives. And if they can't throw the ball, they're not going to beat Georgia, Alabama. They have no hope at all. So Bo Nix is going to need to keep getting better and better if they have a chance of beating Georgia and Alabama, and I think he will. But that defense for Auburn is really good. The offense is decent. But yeah, they have a lot more wins against better opponents than Oklahoma, who I have at 7. I mean, Oklahoma has looked amazing So amazing offensively. And the defense has looked really good too. Definitely have looked better than all the years past. But it's against who? I mean, Houston, which they only won 49-31, and they started 1-3. Their quarterback's out for the year. Houston's 1-3. They're not any good, and you only won that 49-31, Oklahoma. So, and Auburn has beaten better teams than you. South Dakota, UCLA, not any good, and Texas Tech isn't any good either. So you haven't beaten anything decently. So how can I sit here and say you're better than Auburn when Auburn has proven themselves against better teams? I just can't do it. So Oklahoma, you're at 7 for that reason, even though you might be better. But that's that. And my number 8 team is Notre Dame. We're solely going off how good you look. So Notre Dame is number 8, in my opinion, because they went into Athens and gave Georgia a good fight. Georgia pretty much dominated that game defensively, but Notre Dame got a couple of breaks. So they have one loss to Georgia. You can't penalize them too much for that. In my book, they went up from that. Great defense. Great defense. They're a really good tackling team. They're sound. They're kind of like Georgia in that regard. They're just a sound football team. When you just watch them play. Defensively, man, they've been getting a lot of penalties offensively. They've got a decent run game. And a great quarterback and great receivers. So Notre Dame is a very solid team. But if we're being realistic, one thing that bothered me, College Game Day, Kirk Herbstreit said it doesn't matter who you play. It just matters how good you beat them. That's literally what he said. But then last year in the SEC Championship, he said Georgia had a good loss to Alabama that would help them. So why would a good loss help you if it doesn't matter who you play? You know what I'm saying? He's using his own logic against himself. He's pretty much reaching for Notre Dame because everyone is saying that Notre Dame is out of the playoff, which they probably are. I mean, let's be real. And he's just trying to reach and give Notre Dame fans some hope or maybe influence the playoff committee. I don't know what he's trying to do, but he's wrong. It always matters who you play. And Notre Dame just doesn't play anyone. And if Georgia, say, loses to Auburn, which I think they probably will because they won't be able to run the ball. Georgia loses to Auburn and then loses to Alabama or Auburn again or LSU in the SEC Championship. That Georgia team that's 11-2 is going to get in the playoff over Notre Dame every day of the week because that Georgia team has played a 10,000 times harder schedule than Notre Dame, and they have the head-to-head over Notre Dame. So Georgia will get in to the playoff over Notre Dame every day of the week in that scenario. So Notre Dame's only hope at all is for Georgia to win the SEC. That's it. They have to hope for that. And even then, you're going to say, oh, a one-loss Bama can't get in over Notre Dame or one-loss LSU or one-loss Auburn. No. Notre Dame's out. There's too many good SEC teams this year that will probably end up with one loss. And their only hope is for all the SEC teams to get 2 losses in Georgia to win the SEC Championship, and that's probably not going to happen. So Notre Dame's out. That's just the fact. Bye-bye, Notre Dame. But you're still a great team. Number 9 is Wisconsin. Now, this team looked about the best team through 11 quarters of the year because the first 2 games they gave up 0 points. They outscored their opponents 110-0, Wisconsin. And then they got up 35-0 on Michigan. So you're looking at, what's 110 plus 35? I can't do math. Outscored opponents 145-0 up until that point. And so it's Wisconsin, number 1 team. Here we go. But things have changed just a little. Since then, they gave up 14 straight points to Michigan and probably could have given up more. They still look good in the win. Good win for Wisconsin. But then they went out against Northwestern, 24-15, if I'm reading this right. It's Wisconsin, come on, man. Northwestern is just aight, man. You went down. Not good, but you've proven that you are pretty good. So you're number 9. Okay, number 10. A lot of polls have Florida, but if you've watched Florida play, they're not a top 10 team. I don't care what they do any teams. They're just not a top 10 team. I'm sorry. Like, no. I've got Texas at number 10. They lost by a touchdown to LSU, but LSU's obviously a great team. Texas is a great team. They beat Oklahoma State by 6, but Texas normally has trouble with Oklahoma State, so that's still a good win. And Oklahoma State's a good team, so that's a good win. They always struggle against them. But yeah, Texas. I kind of haven't seen much from them. They need to keep playing. Obviously, they play Oklahoma, so that wraps up the video, guys. If you liked it, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. I feel like I backed up every single one of my points pretty good. But if you disagree, comment down below and I'll probably reply. And thanks for watching.